What is going on, Moto friends? Now, if you watch YouTube as much as I do, you know that bad audio could really ruin an otherwise good video. So today, we're gonna talk about something a little bit different. If you're a follower of the channel, you know I do a lot of rides, reviews, tutorials, things like that, actually related to the physical motorcycle. But today, I'm gonna be talking about what actually goes into making a good video. Now, if you're in the motorcycle content realm, this will definitely apply to you. And even if you're not in the motorcycle content realm and you're coming from somewhere completely different, the algorithm found me for a reason. So take a listen, and some of these tips are definitely going to carry over to what you're doing. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about all the different microphone options that you have when making your videos. I'm going to talk about the simplest thing, moving on to some cheap options, and then progressing to some slightly more expensive but much better quality audio. So everything I'm going to be talking about is going to be in the description with prices and links. So if you like any of these items, go ahead and purchase it, try it out. If you have any questions, obviously tell me. So let's get into it. The cheapest and easiest audio option is just to use the camera that you're working with. In my case, I'm using my cell phone to record today and using the cell phone microphone in this clip. Now compare this to my introduction where I was using a wireless lavalier mic on my chest. The audio here is pretty crisp because we are close, but it's definitely not as loud or as crisp as the lavalier mic I was using. Now cell phone cameras do have very high sensitivity, so if you're working up close, you're going to be able to get good audio. But it does pick up a lot of background noise. So you can hear cars passing in the background, and eventually that will bother listeners. So you want to clean up that audio and use something that's closer to you. Now let's take a step back from this camera and show you how the audio changes when you back away from the cell phone. Here we're still using the cell phone microphone, but it is about 10 to 15 feet away from the motorcycle. So you can still hear my voice, but it's a little more echoey and not as clear as before. You're also hearing more ambient noise like cars passing by behind me because the sensitivity of the mic is ramped up. So to avoid this, you may want to invest in a set of lavalier microphones, which is what I was using in the introduction. These microphones basically get placed on your chest or somewhere around you and pick up the audio near you and transmit the signal remotely to whatever recording device you're using. So let's take a look at some examples, starting with the cheapest option you can get. Now, if you go to Amazon, there are a ton of lavalier mic options, which are plug and play with whatever cell phone you're using. And there's some very cheap ones that retail in the range of 20 to 30 US dollars. And this was the set that I first bought when I started making videos before I knew any better. So take a look, take a listen, but this is not something I would recommend buying. If budget is an issue, then perhaps you may want to try it and just kind of fiddle around with how loudly you speak. But overall, these are not going to be the type of quality you want for your videos. So this set of lavalier mics comes with two microphones that can be clipped to your lapel. Then they come with a USB-C adapter that plugs into your cell phone, and then a USB-C to regular USB adapter. So I'm going to pop these into my cell phone and give you a listen of what they sound like. Here we go again, about 10 to 15 feet distance between the motorcycle and the camera, but this time I'm using this cheap clip-on lavalier microphone from Amazon. So you can hear my voice a lot better, but I find this audio to be very crackly, loud, and shrill. So I wouldn't use this in any of my videos moving forward. So if budget issues are a constraint for you, you could try speaking a little bit quieter to see if that would clear up the audio a little bit. In my experience, it doesn't help too much, but it is better than if you talk in your normal voice. Now, I have a loud voice. My friends will all tell you this. So it's really hard for me to use these microphones speaking naturally. And when I'm trying to whisper or talk quietly, it really affects the cadence of how I speak, and it just doesn't make for a good video. Overall, though, these are better than using a microphone where you can't hear anything. So if $20 or $30 is okay for you to spend, it might be worth a try to see if it'll work for whatever settings that you want. So obviously you can hear the cars passing by a lot less. You can't hear as much ambient noise, but this audio is just not optimal for long videos. So let's move on to something a little bit more expensive, but much higher quality. These are going to be the lavalier mics from DJI. Right off the bat, you can see the quality is much nicer with the DJI microphones. You get this little carrying bag, and inside this bag, you get your charging device. So this plugs into USB-C and is a battery pack that charges your receivers and transmitters. So if you open this up, you're going to see your receiver and then your two transmitters. And I bought the one that plugs into your phone because I don't really want to mess with Bluetooth capabilities, but there is a Bluetooth version, which I will link in the description. So if you have an Apple device, you can use this little plug, and if you have a USB-C device, you can use this plug here. And these microphones can just take out and they charge through this port down here. And you can attach them to your shirt, you can attach them under your shirt, and I'll show you how they sound in a second, but they are significantly better than the previous device. To get even better audio, especially on windy days or if there's cars passing by or a lot of ambient noise, you can use these little woolly caterpillars windscreens. So they have a little port right here, and if you put this down and twist, this locks into place and can get rid of a lot of that wind noise. By now you know the drill, same positioning, same distance, different microphones. This time you're hearing the DJI Lavalier microphones, and you can tell the quality is much better, much clearer. You can hear my voice well, it doesn't have that same shrillness and crackliness that the cheaper microphones have. You're not hearing as much ambient noise as you were with the cell phone microphone. The only thing I don't love about these is the size and the appearance. So if you're wearing a t-shirt, it's fairly bulky, and if you're wearing the windscreen, it really sticks out in video. But the quality of the audio really trumps the visual appeal. Now, I've seen some people tuck them under their shirt and put the magnet on the outside. That does make it a little more streamlined looking, but in my opinion, that kind of muffles the sound occasionally, so you want to try it both ways. So now that you've seen this, let me show you a pretty cool microphone that I use mostly indoors, but you can use this outdoors. This beauty here is the Rode NT USB Plus, which is usually used indoors for podcasts or voiceover work, but I've also used this outside to pick up different sounds of the motorcycle. What makes this microphone great is that it doesn't need an external power source. All you need to do is plug in the USB-C cable into your phone or other recording device, and that is enough to power this microphone. It also has a built-in preamp, so there's really no need for any other devices. This microphone just plug and play, which is super easy, super fantastic. I know this looks a little bit goofy, but just to give you an example of the audio, picks up voices very clearly and is very crisp audio. So if you're using this indoors, really a must-buy microphone, really easy to use. And if you're using it outdoors, if there's not too much ambient noise or other things going on, I think it could be very good too. I've also used this to record the exhaust on the motorcycle. So I'm going to give you some examples right now of some ASMR type sounds with these different mics and how to pick up good exhaust sound. Right now we're using the DJI Lavalier mics just because they are so crisp and easy to use. And I'm just going to show you some sounds around the motorcycle that you may want to record if you're making your own videos. So to start, the click when you turn the key. So I'm going to take the microphone, put it in the frame, and then slowly move it out of the frame so that it's not in the video, but you can still hear well. So here you go. You can hear that click really nicely, as well as the fuel pump priming. Same thing here, you can really hear the clickiness of the button. I'm just going to take the microphone and move it up until it's out of the field of view next to the mirror. Take a listen. You can really use this to record anything. For example, how to twist the throttle, brake. Now I'm going to show you the exhaust startup from about a distance of 5 feet with the same little microphone. Now you're going to hear it with the cell phone at the same distance, and then followed by the Rode NT microphone. With the Rode microphone, I like to keep it at a greater distance just because it is so sensitive, so take a listen. As you're watching videos online, you'll notice that the video quality doesn't really vary too much between creators. All the cameras these days are super high resolution. Your cell phone cameras are high definition. Insta360 cameras go up to 5.7K. GoPros go up to 5.7K. So the video quality is going to be good across the board. The audio is where you can really stand out in your videos. So I would not recommend using your cell phone microphone if you can avoid it. I also would not recommend using those cheap Amazon lavalier mics. The quality is just too poor and people are just going to get annoyed listening to your voice crackling like that. The DJI lavalier mics, which I'm using right now to do this conclusion, are excellent, and I would highly recommend those in both the Bluetooth and the USB version. And that Rode NT USB Plus microphone, if you have the extra money, I think it's excellent for voiceover work, and it could work inside for podcast type settings or outside if your ambient settings are fairly quiet. So if you like this type of content, let me know in the comments. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, and I'll be making more of these behind the scenes, how to make the video type features in the future. So thanks for watching.